now of days long past, the time when the world was young, when sorcery thrived and wild adventure was forever in the offing. And of this epoch, little is known, save that which is veiled in the mists of legendary.
Cavebabble. Hello and welcome to Cavebabble episode 288. This week's episode, The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. This episode is brought to you by With What?
With what?
Do you
I
remember
imagine
all
you'll
that?
explain that. With what?
With what? You remember With What, right?
No.
You don't? It
I
happened
do.
at least 3 times in the movie.
Oh,
Maybe we'll get to that.
maybe.
It has to do with a certain knee to the balls.
All that. Uh-huh.
With
Okay.
what?
And I will make love to you like no other can.
With what?
Hey, everyone. I'm Eric.
And this is Valerie.
Wow. Welcome to our podcast. Look at us podcasting and everything.
Do we remember how?
Absolutely. I'm talking right into this microphone to you. That's all that matters.
Wow.
Oh, I love podcasting with you. That's why we've done it so much.
That's why we do it so well. We like to podcast. It's the editing afterwards. That's the chore, right?
Yeah, it is, but that's really not why. Oh, so we thought we would get back in the saddle with a classic in quotes.
Yeah,
Oh, a
one of
cult-
Eric's favorites.
You stop that. Quit saying it's one of my favorites. Not one of my favorites.
Every time you talk about us doing a quirky movie, let's do a quirky movie. And
Cult following.
this is always your first suggestion, and you always say you're going to torture me with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't find it to be a torture.
Maybe that's why we haven't done it, because it wasn't torturous enough.
Yeah. Some of the other ones have been quite torturous.
Yeah, this is not nearly as bad as some of those other ones I've made you sit through.
Jack and the Snowman,
This is one. Well, we'll get into it a little bit later, but Jack and the Snowman. Yeah, that one. Jack Frost. Our last episode. That was a much.
That was torture.
That's a worse movie than this one. That's for sure. But no, this is one from. I'm trying to think. At the time, I was probably, was that 14 or 15 the time this came out?
1982.
Well, let's not talk about how old I was. But,
The audience doesn't need to know. Yeah.
And I did see this one at the theater. I think I went with my oldest sister. And I believe, as I recall, I was told, don't tell mom you saw this movie. And I didn't. And
I could see why, because there was a lot of stuff in here but of course you were of an age that these days, children are introduced to this stuff at a much younger age.
Yeah, it was a different time, and it was one of those things where I really felt like I was getting away with something. Mm-hmm. And, parts of this film just really stuck with me, and it was, it's one of those that I have fond memories of.
Yeah, well, and I also would have to say that for this coming out in 1982, I was entertained by it. I would say, just as a general, that it held up well. It's held up well. But IMDb rating is only 5.4, so that's interesting. I think it deserves a higher rating than that.
Well, what is it we're talking about? It was right in the title, everyone. You could have listened to it at that time. It was right in the title of our episode.
That's right.
We are talking about 1982's The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Dungeons and dragons, serpents and splendor, wizards and witches, danger and desire. And the mightiest of all heroes, in the greatest of all adventures. The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Yeah. So if you can dedicate an hour and 39 minutes of your time, I think this is, we'll start out with a watch this. If you haven't watched it, you might want to shut this off and.
Oh, there are far worse barbarian movies from the 80s than this one.
But then again, we're not going to go through step by step and scene by scene.
No,
we're
not.
Gonna, we're going to talk about other things.
This was directed by Albert Pyun. Now that name should mean something, blah, blah, to those who enjoy 80s and 90s B or less level films. This is the director of, this was his first film.
Okay.
But he also directed Cyborg. That's a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Not very good. And notoriously, he directed the 90s, I think it was 1990, the 90s, early 90s version of Captain America. And if you've not seen that, look it up. Oh, boy. It's really bad.
Good thing it was remade.
He's really directed some stinkers, but he's also managed to gather quite the cult following.
So maybe he should have stayed with writing.
I think he died just last year, I want to say, or maybe just early this year. I think it was quite recent, as I recall.
November 26, 2022.
Okay, so just last year. It's one of those names that as the 90s crawled on, I associated his name. Whenever I saw his name as director, I just kind of avoided it because he just not the best. But having said that, I think maybe this is the best of his films that I've seen. His first is maybe his best.
Well, it does say, his first film, The Sword and the Sorcerer, was actually the highest grossing independent film of 1982.
I know. It made over $39 million in 1982, folks. That's quite a bit of money, especially for, I'm sure, what was a tiny budget. And no wonder he was able to go on and make other movies because this one made a lot of money.
Made him money. Mm-hmm.
It absolutely did. What in the world is this movie about, babe?
What is it about?
Well, here's the synopsis. Sex and violence and everything else. A mercenary with a 3-bladed sword, yes, he certainly does have that, rediscovers his royal heritage's future. That is a terrible sentence.
Yeah.
When he is recruited to help a princess foil the designs of a brutal tyrant and a powerful sorcerer in conquering a land. That's a terrible synopsis.
Yeah, that is a terrible synopsis.
Not very well written, whoever did that for IMDb.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. Ta-da! Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next week.
There, if that doesn't pique your curiosity. That would not draw me in to watch this movie. So that
what? It says 3-bladed sword right there in the synopsis, babe. What about that didn't you get? I mean, come on.
Yeah. And rediscovering, I don't think he ever forgot his royal heritage.
No, I'm pretty sure he knew who he was the entire time. Yeah,
See,
I agree with that statement.
So that is a poor IMDb, you need to rewrite that. That's a poor synopsis. Yeah. I guess, how would you write that? How would you write that? Put you on the spot.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure how I would write that.
He never does seek revenge. It's not really about seeking revenge. So,
well, he gets revenge, but
he's not seeking it. He's just helping a poor girl out.
Yeah. Why did he show up there in the first place, though? He knows where the ruler is, where the tyrant lives.
Well, I guess he just happened to be passing through the land, huh? And is he really a mercenary? I think he's more of an adventurer, is what the movie itself said.
Yeah, he's a mercenary. He gets paid in sex, babe.
Yeah.
All good mercenaries do.
Guess his sword is for hire.
I did like that scene when he said his sword is ready and the table moves up and down without his hands on it.
Is your sword for hire?
It depends.
I would pay anything for it.
Well, if the price is right, my sword is yours.
Not so fast.
Oh, but my sword is boys.
Oh, man, because there's nothing says 80s movie more than paying for services with sex.
Anything you want. but only for one night.
Yeah, exactly.
Who stars in this lovely film, babe?
Well, we could talk about the mercenary himself.
That's right, Lee Horsley. Talon! As Talon. He's never far from a blow dryer and is paid in talons of all things. Isn't that a little confusing?
Yeah, that was weird.
They negotiated his price, and that is the name of their currency.
200 talents, 500 talents.
We know what you are thinking. She is saying talents, not talons. But we watched the movie with subtitles, and they said talons.
Well, that says, what his father, King Richard, had on his mind when he was born. Money, I guess.
I know what King Richard...
Let's name my son after our currency.
I know what King Richard had on his face, which was the worst beard in movie history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, take a piece of lamb's wool and glue it to your jawline.
It was really bad.
Uh-huh.
So, can you tell me something about Lee Horsley?
Well, there's not a whole lot on him other than the fact that he's a mighty hunter.
Mighty hunter. Oh,
Yeah,
is he really?
Yeah. He's an expert horseman and an outdoorsman. He's participated in rodeo events, but he really likes to hunt. He's hunted all over the world, including Africa, Argentina.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh. So you skipped right over the fact that Lee Horsley is a horseman.
Oh, following after his name.
He also had kind of a resurgence thanks to being in both Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight.
Have we watched The Hateful Eight?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino, at least I have. I don't know if you watched it with me. We definitely watched Django Unchained together.
Okay.
So obviously Quentin Tarantino knows who he is. I wonder if he brought him on because of The Sword and the Sorcerer, babe. He's your standard action dude in a sword and sandal movie, I guess.
Yeah, and he played, I felt he did the part justice.
He's no Arnold Schwarzenegger, but...
But, you don't need an Arnold Schwarzenegger. You need somebody who can move fast and be strong.
Yeah. And actually, I kind of said during the movie that I appreciated that about him. He had a normal dude's body, not an Arnold Schwarzenegger body.
Right,
you don't have to look like a barbarian.
No, because to do some of the moves that he does throughout the movie, you've got to be able to have some flexibility. And it's my understanding that most bodybuilders don't have that flexibility when they're that bulky.
Yeah, I have that problem.
Yeah, you do.
And my flexibility, I can't. I just can't. These muscles get in the way every single time.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you, to join me in Tai Chi in the morning on the deck as the sun rises, but just can't entice you to do that.
I think, what were you saying? You said something about Talon. What was it you had said? On the mountain.
Oh, go tell it on the mountain.
Oh, yeah, go Talon on the mountain.
On the mountain. Yeah.
As we're introduced to him up on that cliffside overlooking the sea, and he turns around, looks at the camera, and it's blurry.
Yeah, and it inspires that song. Yeah, go Talon on the mountain.
Must not have had a focus puller for that one. I was struck by something in watching it again. The sets, they aren't half bad, babe.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
To me, so I'm glad you're mentioning it here because, I thought the set designs and I thought the makeup held up very well. The stuff that they would use CGI for today, they didn't have the technical CGI back then.
No, they didn't have any.
And what they did with this just by makeup was amazing.
Yeah, and some of the sets like the Zushia, the demon's lair, that looked really good. I mean, his throne and all of the lighting and the mist and everything, it looked really cool. Anyway, right. I'm sorry, we're getting distracted. So, Lee Horsley did just fine, but he was not very far from a blow dryer at any time. That was some nice hair.
Yeah, they all had nice hair in this film.
Next on our list is Kathleen Beller as Princess Alana.
What's really interesting about her is, do you know who she's married to?
I do, thanks to reading up on her for this podcast. Thomas Dolby.
Yes, and they have three children.
She blinded him with science back in 1988, and they've been married ever since.
And she was in Godfather too?
She was in a bit role.
Okay, a bit role. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she was like someone in a restaurant. So
she started studying drama at the age of 13 in England.
Oh, really? At 13, huh?
Uh-huh.
She was not the best actress at least for, like, at the beginning, it was a little clunky, and it seemed to get better as it went along.
So how does, at the age of 13, I mean, this is a very brief trivia on her, so if she was in Bristol, England at the age of 13, she was born in Queens, born in Queens, raised on Croton-on-Hudson. Is that how you say that? Croton?
Really don't know, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I apologize if I butchered that. But then she ended up in Bristol, England at 13.
Yeah, I have no idea. I know for this movie, in reading a little bit about it, that she was, according to her, was pressured to get naked by the producers, and the director, Albert Pyun, supported her and told her, screw them, in harsher language than that. Don't do it. And so she didn't.
And just in the times, I don't know at what point in time, but one of her three children is transgender, so that's awesome too.
Yeah, I don't know much about her anymore. Mm-hmm. I just know, I really only know her from this movie. So.
Yeah, so that's cool, as that seems to be a hot topic it should be.
All right, moving on. Simon McCorkindale as Lord Micah. I swear this man is Michael York's brother. He looks and sounds so much like him. To me.
So similar, huh?
I mean, yeah. Their mannerisms even, to me, are quite similar. So, I don't know. Dude.
He's described as now I'm going to butcher this word too.
Aristocratically?
There we go. Aristocratically handsome.
He is aristocratically handsome. He is. He does look like royalty, doesn't he?
See, he fit the part.
Yeah, that just means inbred, right?
Oh, jump.
Well, when you have royal lines,
I try to keep it in the family.
There is not much variety if you're within a royal line, right?
Oh, poor guy. Of course, he's no longer with us. He died October 14th, 2010, of bowel and lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cancer is a very, leveling illness. It affects the rich and the poor.
Equal opportunity killer, right?
Yeah, there you go.
No, see, and that's the bad thing about these older movies, is a lot of these folks are going to be gone. And,
true.
So then you get to read about all the horrible things that they died of, which is so nice.
Yeah, so nice a Debbie Downer. Yeah.
I don't know about this next guy, I don't know if he's still around or not. And that would be George Maharis. I think that's how you say it, as Count Macelli.
And I kept calling him Machiavelli.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. I see him as half snake and half Anthony Perkins, is how I would just... Anthony Perkins with a mullet, that's who he is.
There you go.
That's who he is to me. I mean... This guy, this is melodramatical madness at its best, because there's no way that he could be a good guy, right?
He originally was interested in singing, but as
Really?
he never had proper vocal lessons, he soon overused his voice and couldn't sing anymore. So then that's when he veered towards acting.
Blew his voice right out, huh?
Yep.
I don't know much about him, and I think he was only maybe this was his last film role.
Yeah, he lived to the ripe age of 94. He just recently passed on May 24th, 2023.
Okay, he's the one that just died this year.
Yep.
So I don't think he did any more movies. I think he did maybe a couple television things after, but not much. As I recall, I don't know, I'd have to look at it again.
He was in, the Naked City, Route 66, Adam 12, so a lot of TV. From
way back when.
Yeah, from way back when. Yeah, prior to prior to this. Yeah, it looks like most of his, he did had an appearance in Doppelganger in 1993, and then that's about it.
Oh,
So
okay.
he did Sword and Sorcerer, and then
Doppelganger, and then that was
Doppelganger
it.
1993, and that looks like that was it.
Oh, okay. So he had one credit after this then. Whoa, boy. The next person on our list has been in everything, or at least everything in the 80s and 90s, and that would be Richard Lynch. And actually before that, as King Titus Cromwell, the usurper.
Yeah, he's a recognizable face. He's been
Yeah. Like I put in my notes, you've seen him. We've all seen him.
Yep.
Yep. He's been in lots of things from, I would say, mostly 70s on. And unfortunately, he's not with us either.
No,
anymore.
June 19th, 2012, of a heart attack.
Well, as ways to go.
Well, hopefully if it's quick, because, heart attacks don't have to be quick.
No, they don't. Oh, man. So let's
I know.
dwell
Stop
on
being
that.
a Debbie Downer. Stop being a Debbie Downer, I tell you. He was in Star Trek The Next Generation.
He was in an episode of it, yeah.
True.
He
Two-part
was.
episode, The Gambit.
He almost always played a bad guy. At least that's what I associate him. Maybe
he has
because
that
of this
face.
movie. Yeah, maybe because of this movie. It was.
He's fluent in several languages. He could speak German and Italian fluently.
He spoke fluent usurper too in this movie.
Did you know
No.
that he donated his body to medical science?
Did he really? What a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Actually. Thanks, Richard.
So here's a little trivia on him. In 1967, after taking LSD, he set himself on fire in New York City's Central Park behind the Museum of Art.
Oh, is that how he got scarred?
Yep.
That's
And
how
so
he got
after
scarred.
he recuperated, he, made use of his scarred face by playing sinister-looking characters in old films.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what it was. Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Poor Richard. That's not good.
Oh, and he also spoke Russian, Spanish, and Swahili.
I mean, wonder where his travels took him that he thought, yeah, I want to learn Swahili.
Yeah, that he learned. And
That's awesome, though.
awesome that he was able to speak so many languages fluently because, it's...
I'm always in awe of people who pick up languages like that.
Same here.
It's beyond me. I know that.
Took me 7 years to be able to speak fluent French, and then I stopped
Yeah.
speaking it, and
That was the end of that.
and that's the end of it. I didn't retain it, so I can pick out some words, but no way am I fluent anymore. So
Okay, we're not done with the Richards yet.
we aren't.
Next on the list, well, at least next in what I wrote down, Richard Mall as Zushia of Delos, the demon. Yeah, he did a great job.
He did, and the makeup that he had to be in for this movie, it's back when there were, he was full on, I imagine, latex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to give him the slimy ick.
You've all seen him before, too, because he was Bull on Night Court.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in lots of things. Big, tall dude, awesome voice. He has a great voice.
He's most notably says the voice of Two-Face in Batman, the animated series, and Batman the Brave and the Bold.
And Zushia like this.
In 2 days' time, with the rising of the seventh moon, Cromwell's power, Cromwell's bride, and Cromwell's flesh shall be mine!
Isn't that the coolest thing ever?
It is, yeah. And he is still with us.
Hey, finally, someone who hasn't died.
Yeah, I guess he's quite tall.
He is very tall. Yeah. Yep, very tall. Oh, one thing. Hey, I can do it this time. Did you know?
What?
Did you know that his makeup, the contacts that he wore for this, adhered to his eyes?
Ow.
And he had to go have surgery to have them taken off.
Oh, ouch. Boy,
So,
poor guy.
That's one of those trivia notes that you think, did that happen?
Or is that just a
Did that
myth
really
that became
happen?
fact because it was said often? Did you know
No.
he's an avid fly fisherman?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, now you know.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you need to learn how to fly fish, look him up.
Man,
I wonder if he still does, though, because he's probably, well, he's in his
I don't know.
late 70s by now.
70s, yeah.
80.
I'm sure.
80,
Sure, you
yeah.
could still fly fish then. Man, the Richards, they were so talented.
Well, some 80-year-olds are still quite spry, so he probably is still fly fishing.
Some of them fly fish, some of them speak multiple languages.
Yeah,
Boy,
see?
Richards are really represented well in this
So
film.
that's the main cast, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to mention 3 others.
Okay.
Starting with Anthony DeLongis as Rodrigo. That was the leader of the farmers. The dude, the coward who kept holding back, hanging back.
Which is weird that he was a leader, but he was a coward. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind. Yeah, he mostly stayed out of the fray, right?
Yeah, that seemed like I don't know who ever wrote that section. That just seemed odd that you would make a person a leader and a coward. I mean, it didn't take much for him to run from the action.
Right. And I mention him mostly because you know this guy too outside this movie.
Oh, we do.
Not only is he a well-known stunt director, which he's done for years and years and years, he was on Good Mythical Morning twice.
Oh, was he?
He was the guy with the whip. He was the whip guy.
Oh, he's the whip
Yeah,
guy.
that's him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a pro with a whip. And he was on Good Mythical.
Yeah, he's worked alongside a lot of high-named,
Yeah,
well-known individuals. Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jet Li, Brandon Fraser, Ron Howard, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yep, he's had a long career, and he's still around too.
Yep, he's
Look
still
at that.
around too.
Not everyone is dead.
Yep, he's known as being a master handler of the bullwhip. So
Right.
his techniques were used in Zorro, Michelle Pfeiffer's Batman Returns, Harrison Ford's he was Harrison Ford's whip trainer. Yeah. He's also an expert fencer.
I like the whip thing because it's like name famous movies that have whips, and he was the one that helped with
That
those.
trained them, He's also a 5th-degree black belt.
Yeah. Seems like a cool guy. I'd like to sit.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked his interactions with Rhett and Link on the show. I got a kick out of him. And I thought he would be a good guy to sit and have a drink and chat with. So.
Yeah, he seemed like he'd be an interesting, could tell some good stories.
I don't know about the next guy. Robert Tessier, I think is how you say it, as Verdugo. Okay, that was the bald jailer guy.
Yeah, the torturer.
The torturer, yes. So I mention him just because he has a great death scene. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
So he served in the United States Armed Forces, saw action in both Korea as a paratrooper, and he earned both the Silver Star and the Purple Heart.
Isn't that wild? These folks, their real lives are fascinating.
Yeah.
You just never know. You see them on screen and you have absolutely no idea.
And
like,
he died at a young age. He died at the age of 56, and on October 11th, 1990, also of cancer.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
Yeah. He was in The Fall Guy, The A-Team.
He was on the A-Team in the Fall Guy?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so he did television.
Yeah. Looks like he did mainly television.
Again, I think I was introduced to him in this movie, and I've seen him in, I believe, other things as well, but I mostly remember him from this.
Did some movies. He was in The Longest Yard, Hooper, The Cannonball Run, but mainly it looks like he did.
All films with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wild? Okay, and the last guy I want to mention, just because of a ridiculous clip that I have of him, is Earl Maynard or Menard as Morgan. Captain Morgan, babe.
Oh, Captain Morgan.
I just had to add him. First of all, the dude is stacked.
Yeah, he's
He is
a bodybuilder.
Oh, good Lord. And also because of this lovely voice acting.
Blast you, Eric. Spread the word of Talon's plight. Half the sea dogs in this port owe their lives to him. Now go!
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, he needs to needed some more acting lessons, I think. But yeah, he definitely had the body of a swashbuckler. Yeah.
I think Eric deserved his ire. Eric's are the worst.
Blast you, Eric.
So I guess Earl Maynard was actually a professional wrestler. So that's where he gets his physique from.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot on him.
No, there's not. I don't even think he has a photo on IMDb, does he?
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
Well, we know what he
name
looks
is
like.
Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, he looks like it too. The film score. Okay, that's it for cast. I'm going to go on to the score. Film score by David Whitaker. And I mention it because it ain't half bad.
Right.
For this kind of thing, as a B film, it's as good as it should be, if not better.
Right. Yeah. I was, like I said, pleasantly surprised. You've been, like I said, for years saying that you were going to torture me with this movie. And so I really went into this with very low expectations, because usually when you say you're going to torture me, they're really bad movies.
Yeah, with good reason you say that, right?
Yeah, but this one, I actually liked it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm saying that. I actually liked this one.
Oh, and I fully enjoyed it. It was like going down memory lane, and I remember every scene and every line and all of that, even after all these years. But I enjoyed it more this time. It was not half bad.
Yeah.
The score was good, except every now and then it seemed to be aping other songs. There's a scene when Talon is helping Alana up from the ground after she was almost raped, because it's an 80s movie and fantasy film. So, of course, the women are about to get raped all the time. But as he's helping her up, I swear it's the Star Spangled Banner is playing. It's just a little kind of similar, and it sounded kind of like this. Yeah, what do you think? A little close?
Yeah, and did you say where, what, so people can go to that point and listen and determine for themselves?
Yeah, it was in that scene in the alleyway when Alana was about to be raped, and he comes and he saves her.
Yeah.
And it's when he is helping her up.
Yeah.
That's when you hear
reaching for her hand.
When he's reaching for her hand.
And they're showing the shot with their hands. Yeah, of their hands.
That's right. And then also later on, like during the scene in the wedding scene, there's like an Indiana Jones theme kind of playing. It's somewhere in there. It's at but he also has a great Heroes theme that plays. Look at the 49-minute, just after 49 minutes, and you're introduced to this hero theme. Oh boy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Doesn't it sound? Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought I'd give him a shout out because I was pleasantly surprised, because of course I don't remember anything about the music from the movie. I like in fantasy films when places are called, have names that are very spot on. It's like you go to a place called Tomb Island, you get what you deserve if you go to Tomb Island.
Yeah.
I like it's kind of like fantasy maps, they have things like the tall mountains.
The tall mountains, right. So while we're on, did you know that you probably do know, but the castle that was portrayed as Cromwell's fortress was actually a castle in the town of Dorne, Scotland. It was, I'll butcher this name too, Elaine, Eilean. Elaine Donen Castle.
They also had some footage from Istanbul with the mosque.
Yep. A couple times.
Which I didn't know anything about back then, but now it's like, that's one of the places I really want to go. Oh man, the one thing that was a little distracting first, which actually got better, was, there was fuzz and hair and all kinds of stuff all over this film during the opening credits. It was a little hard to watch, man.
Yeah. But it kind of fit because they were entering a cave, very easily entering a cave. I thought that was, here's some, rock rubble. Let's just push at it. And it immediately falls in. Press here.
Ding! We're in.
Yeah. So it seemed, it fit, but I don't know if it was done on purpose. But yeah, it was very fuzzy during that time.
The whole scene with Zushia, the introduction of Zushia, and with the witch and the killing that went on there, and the heart exploding out of a chest, all of that, and that cool altar with the moving faces. That was the part, that very opening, that as a kid I was like, whoa, I've not seen stuff quite like this before.
Right, it's definitely started quite gory, which was it was rated R. So you were taken to an R-rated film.
Oh yeah. Well, I saw, what was that? The Thing I saw this year too. So with my dad.
With your dad took you to that. Yeah.
Oh man, the witch licking all over his slimy fingers though.
Oh yeah, was that necessary?
Those big long demon fingers.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but they got the ick, that you did. You went, ew, ick. Yeah, so definitely had started out with a lot of ick factor up there.
I got a kick out of that guy, Cromwell's crony, that was there to make fun of Zushia. It just reminded me of Darth Vader, the guy who talks to Vader. It's like, don't talk back to Demon Vader. That's what I'll call him. Don't talk back to Demon Vader, or he'll kill someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
He killed the witch instead of the guy that was ew.
I don't kill men, I'll kill this witch. Yeah.
It was the Vader. It was that scene. It was. And I just, it's like, oh man, that guy's got to die, right? Nope.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah. In today's films, that guy would have died, but no, he turned his anger on I'm sorry, kicking a dog. Yeah. It's like, so did that really show his strength? No. He would have shown his strength by,
And she had
killing the person that said it.
And that poor witch, she had that look on her face like, what? Why are you doing that to me?
Yeah, right.
But I'm on your side.
I'm your loyal subject. Yeah, see, right. That's kind of why I made the, analogy about a dog, which is sad, because they're your most loyal companion. Don't hurt them.
After, when Cromwell uses Zushia's power to attack the land, that whichever, I can't even remember, it's what is the name of it? I can't remember the name of the country. Anyway, there's a whole scene. Eden. There you go. Eden. It's spelled Aiden, E-H-D, but half of them say Eden and half of them say Aiden. So it's like whichever
so they don't
one.
know how to pronounce it either. Yeah.
But King Richard's, was that his son that was brought to him that was all bashed up, but they dragged a guy in? It was his son.
Yep, it was his son. They brought him in because, the wife, oh, my son.
Oh, that's right. And he was obviously dying. And what does the king yell?
Bring a leech!
Bring a leech!
Bring a leech. And he was, don't you think he's already lost enough blood?
Exactly.
That's going to save him.
Oh. And the thing is, the dude died like 20 seconds later. It's like,
you didn't even have time to bring the leeches.
Quick, shove it on his face.
No, bring the priest. I meant to say priest.
Oh, that's what I meant. Bring the priest.
Last rites before I meant to say.
And in comes a leech dressed like a priest.
Yeah, there you go.
You're called. You're called. I'm
I
here.
do both.
Oh darn! He's already dead. Oh well.
So sorry. Can't give him last rites now.
All right. Can we talk a little bit about the three-bladed sword? Because I'm not sure who made it. I don't know who designed it. I think maybe that was director's idea. I think it was his idea, actually.
Yeah, it really wasn't necessary to do a three-bladed sword. They kind of didn't use it to its full potential, if there was a potential.
So, right. So if you've not seen this thing, it's a three-bladed sword, and they're turned, think of like Wolverine's hand blades, right? His blades, they're set, parallel to one another, right next to each other. And what it looks like more than anything is one of those, as seen on TV, bread slicers that does multiple slices at once. That's what I thought. So all I could think was, as seen on TV, it's the it's the sword with three blades. But it's better than that, babe. what is the coolest thing about the sword?
It's a projectile.
Yeah, it can fire off the blades on either side of the center one at a time, by the way. So they must have 2 buttons to fire it off. And they're like gas power because you can see a little puff of something as they air or pneumatic, air powered at least.
And where this comes from was from Albert Pyun, his love of the anime, his love of the lone wolf and cub films.
Oh, who doesn't love those?
Yeah, and he also had some anime influence in his early action. So
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a lot. It's a lot like any, as we call him, big ass sword that any character in anime has that is just ridiculously big and hard to swing around. Well, good thing he doesn't use it very often in this movie. He spends the vast majority of this film without that. He fights with a lot of other weapons, but he never uses that thing.
Right.
Maybe
because it breaks so easily.
Well, you can kind of see the lines that the blades travel down as it fires off. So it's probably a good thing they didn't do it very often.
Yeah, it probably required too much setup to use it. You couldn't just swing it. You had
nothing says pleased to meet you more than a potential rape scene that we had just talked about. That's a small threat.
That's a small threat. That's a very small threat.
Yeah, there was lots of that. A lot of referring to males' genitalia throughout this movie. Yeah.
And calling women wenches. Everyone was a wench.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, at one point, one of the women is going to free all the dudes, all the farmers and whatnot from the dungeon. And they're calling her, wench, bring that, key over here. And I thought, if I was her, I'd say, you know what? I don't think so.
Yeah. Have more respect.
Maybe I won't do that. How about you quit calling me wench?
Yeah, how about you? Yeah. Show me a little respect here, and then I'll let you out.
The good old sex for payment plan.
Anything you want, but only for one night.
And I'm sure she's thrilled about that, right?
Yeah, well, if for at least he wasn't, at least he was young and around her age and not,
unlike Cromwell. And what was her name? Elizabeth, or what was her name? I can't remember.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth, who we didn't say who that was. But when Cromwell kisses Elizabeth, he's kind of going for the tongue thing a little bit. You can tell his mouth is open. And I thought, oh man, I bet she loved that. Not you. But when Alana kisses Talon, as a down payment, by the way, she actually seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah. Right.
She didn't seem like it was that big of a deal to her.
Right.
Of course,
in those days, finding a man with a full set of teeth is probably.
She had just agreed to sleep with him for helping him out, though. So, as his payment. Yikes. I have a note that says there's nothing women love more than getting naked and hanging out together until a man arrives, right?
Right, exactly.
Isn't that what you guys do?
Was this, I imagine, harem? So that was kind of a harem look.
Yeah, it's the harem look. And did they giggle? Did they laugh and giggle? I think they did giggle because there's one thing harem has to do in a movie is giggle a lot.
Yeah, giggle a lot. And then, when their men are running through their area, they are, a man. See, giggle, giggle, giggle. Let's tackle him. Oh, my.
Well, I mean, I just assuming that, I don't know, when a group of women get together, is that what you guys do? I mean, do you just like strip down from
we sit around naked,
strip from the waist up, and just say, "Man, I sure hope a man comes bashing through the window."
Exactly. exactly. No.
Yeah, I know. I've been practicing my giggling, and I certainly hope he shows up soon.
Yeah, and I highly doubt women in harems lay around naked all the time either.
What?
They're all busy raising their children.
Yeah, right. Raising those children that bastard gave you.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, we did notice that. So back to talking about the crucifixion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we did notice that.
Talking about the crucifixion, are you?
Crucifixion,
yes,
yeah.
there's a
I'm gonna
crucifixion.
Segue from harem to crucifixion.
Of Talon, by the way.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
of Talon. So you really, we both agree that the makeup for the spikes through his hands was really good, but we both also noticed how well he fought.
Oh, yeah.
He obviously showed no damage from being crucified.
I've always, the damage disappears as soon as he's down off that cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, off that X, I should say. But anyway, yeah, that in that scene, I always thought that he ought to just shove the pommel of the sword through his hand. And he could never drop the sword.
See, right.
See, he's got the hole is already right through it on both sides. I mean, he could be a lefty or a righty. It doesn't really matter. Just, shove it through that.
Because I imagine depending on how much time he was there, by then the nerves have been damaged and, it can't hurt anymore. And also, as people watch this, I didn't notice this, but as you watch that crucifixion scene, during it, Talon's arms will alternate from being straight to being bent at the elbows. And I didn't catch that. So, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
When he pulls the one spike out of the cross, right? As everyone's watching him, just waiting for him to do that as the bride-to-be is... That looked really good. He pulls the spike out, and it didn't wobble or anything on the backside of his hand. It looked like it was shoved through his hand.
Yeah,
I was pretty impressed by that. But the sound effects, the noise effects, which I will put right here. I think maybe that was someone smushing an orange around or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to you. Yeah.
It sounded distinctively citrus to me.
Citrus. Had a slight citrusy aroma.
There's one scene, and it's only one scene, where one of the guards, speaking of as seen on TV, there's one of the guards, one of the, what I call the thuggy guards, because that's what they remind me of, is the Indiana Jones guards. They come into the bar, and one of them has spikes on his hand, just like Wolverine. He's got, and it reminds me of those as seen on TV meat shredders that I jokingly bought you a pair of.
Yeah.
As a practical joke type of thing, as a white elephant thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He looked like he had those on, and he uses them, and he stabs the owner of the bar and kills him with it, and we never see him again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like the coolest weapon. It's better than the three-bladed sword, and we don't see it again.
Right, and then where'd he go to?
As seen on TV, he sold them later on.
And then you caught this one. So when in the movie, looking for, blip goofs and stuff or not necessarily a goof, but when Michelli, he shoves Alana against the stone wall, you saw it wobble, and I guess it makes a hollow wooden sound too, and I didn't catch that it moves, but you did.
I didn't catch that it made a hollow sound, but I caught that it moved, and a little bit later I think it was when the demon was thrown back or something. Someone was thrown back. He hit the tomb that was there, and that whole tomb wobbled. Too, it all moved too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other than that, there wasn't really. We didn't catch a lot of things like that. So that, like you said, the sets were built very well, we thought.
Okay, one of the gross scenes, which you don't really show anything but spraying blood, you don't get to see the head or anything, is when the torturer Verdugo, when the bald dude is killed by Morgan, as a matter of fact. He is, Verdugo.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
The dude is sharpening his sword with one of those wheels, right? The stone wheels. Okay?
The grinders.
And Morgan comes behind him and grabs grabs him and puts him in a headlock and forces his head face first down into that stone.
Yeah.
And it grinds it off, okay? Aren't those things foot pedaled?
Yeah, I mean, we should have rewound and gone back to see, because I thought they even showed him.
You know, if your face is being pushed toward a grinding stone, maybe not keep pedaling it while your face is being ground off.
Right.
That's, if you want to survive that might be the first thing you try.
Unless his muscles are spasming and you can't, pull your foot off of that pedal, while your brain is being ground, your head's being, ground.
I don't know, babe. Some things in this film just didn't make sense. Imagine that. Oh, with a crown like that, Cromwell's crown. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Who did it? It looked like...
it looked like a ring... It reminded me of a ring wraith. It looked like a gold version of a ring wraith.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool crown, I have to say.
And by the time he was wearing that crown, he too had a full jawline of lamb's wool.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
So I think that's required of, the kings.
I think that's what makes you king in that place.
Yeah, I think so. You have to be able to have a jawline of lamb's wool.
In Adan or Edan, or however you want to say it, however it was. I like how in the final fight with Cromwell, which, by the way, is absolutely out of Excalibur. A lot of the fights in this close-up fights with the one-on-one swords, it just reminded me of Excalibur so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love how they both just have secret weapons. They just have blades coming out of places all over the place. And Cromwell, that's a good fight. But the only thing is, Talon has this retracting forearm blade that he puts to good use. But when you look at that thing, from the side when it's extended, that thing's longer than his forearm.
Right. The only way he could have put, as if it was a telescoping.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And so once it was fully extended, you can't see the seams of the telescoping. Telescoping.
Exactly. Perfect. You've explained it perfectly, and now suddenly this movie makes sense.
See, right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep, and that was my note at the end was Excalibur. It definitely looked like that when he was throwing the sword and he reaches up for it. That looked just like a scene out of Excalibur.
Yeah.
And finally, Talon.
Talon! 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 Talon!
Yeah.
Talon. Yay. It was better than I remembered, babe.
Yeah, it was. It was a good, but at the end, I thought, why didn't he take his rightful place as king? But,
I have no idea.
Yeah, because there's a frequently asked question on IMDb, and its answer is because he only wanted revenge for his mother and father's murder. But we really didn't. They didn't play that up through the movie.
No,
that
they didn't.
At the end that he was fighting for revenge. He was, they played it up more. He was, fighting for.
He never once said, "I'm here for Cromwell."
Right, exactly. But it does make sense that he is a free spirit and wanted to remain a free spirit. That makes sense.
He did tell the demon, "I have no beef with you. It's him I want. Stay out of my way." But no, up till then, it was just like, "Oh, I just happen to be in the same town."
Right. But even the beef with him could have been over the whole Alana,
Right.
Yeah, because he did hire, he was her hired sword.
And she, of course, was conveniently knocked out and on the ground with a snake climbing around her and going between her legs suggestively.
Yeah. I did appreciate her not constantly screaming.
No,
it seems like they overdo the women screaming, the damsel in distress. So I'm glad she didn't do a lot of screaming.
Now that you say that, I don't know if she ever did scream. Did she scream at all?
At the very end, when the snake, she finally, but even that wasn't screaming. She made noise that brought Talon's attention to her, and then she's in trouble. But she never did do the typical screaming that a lot of films have women doing. So I appreciated that.
She did kind of have a one-note attack, though, which was get close to them, act like you're sexually interested, and then make love to me.
Yeah.
But with what? A knee in the crotch.
Yeah, did a lot, yeah.
I do get a kick out of when she tries it on Zusha, who becomes Zusha. It just makes this clanging noise like, there ain't nothing down there, or I've got armor. I have armor down there.
Promise me you'll obey my every wish, my every command.
Yes. I'll obey you. You obey this.
Can't damage what I don't have.
Yeah, that's really funny. Oh, speaking of which, though, that transformation from a character back to Zusha again, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
I have to say, peeling off the skin and all of that, and except the only bad thing is he was probably a full foot taller than the other guy when when the reveal is made. It's like, suddenly you're really tall too.
Yeah,
imagine that. But yeah, enjoyable. Yeah. I'm glad we watched it again. I'm actually glad you enjoyed it as much as you did. Yeah. Not that it was the best thing you've ever seen. You weren't like, I can't wait to watch that again.
Right, but I'm glad we saw it, because like I said, you've talked about it enough of wanting to torture me with it, and I'm glad we finally watched it. So The Sword and the Sorcerer is not a weekly conversation in this house, everyone.
Oh, yes, despite what Valerie is making it sound like, that is not a thing.
Constantly.
Not constantly. Sword this, sorcerer that.
Replay this, replay that.
Talon. How many times have I heard you chanting Talon?
Oh, you've just always coveted his sword.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, I mean, and that is how it ended. It's like she went to him and said, "Isn't there something we should be doing?" And he's like, "Well, I would, babe, but I've got these holes in my hands." No. Actually, no, at that point they were gone. But
yeah, then they're bam. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have sex and then he leaves.
I got my payment. Now it's time to go. Yeah.
And I believe in the credits say something along the lines of "look for him in," and they give the name of a movie which was never made. Oh. So he was going to have continuing adventures, which never happened, I think.
Never happened. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And that was Sword and the Sorcerer. And
so watch it.
And you can see it too. It is available, in the US, it's available on Freevee.
So you do have to, it's like watching TV.
There are commercial breaks.
Commercials, and the volume on the commercial is way up here.
Yeah. And in our case, there was some unpronounceable drug that
cured everything.
That cured everything. The commercials were for wildly different symptoms, and it was the same drug. And I thought, wow.
Widely different diagnosis, and yet the same drug was prescribed for each. And it's like, boy, this is a miracle drug.
Yeah, right. Like, ask your doctor about this thing you can't pronounce. Come on, go ahead and do it. I know those outside of our country. Most of you are like, you have drug company commercials on your television?
Yeah, I'm appalled by that too. It's like, come on. Do we really need to? Yeah, but I guess in America, people want to take a pill and be better.
Yeah, the ones that are ask your doctor when you don't even know what it is. Mm-hmm. Come on, ask your doctor about it.
Yeah.
You want to. Who knows what? Who knows what it does? But ask your doctor about it.
Right.
He'll tell you. He or she will tell you about that.
Just go to your doctor and say, "I want this drug." Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she'll tell you, "Yeah, absolutely, you need that drug."
Especially this one, like I said, it cures everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like cure that paper cut.
All right, everyone. This is the end of the show. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
glad that
anymore.
we need to keep this up. It's, it's fun podcasting.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners enjoy our babbling.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got a great, babbler voice. Now me, my voice can probably grate on their nerves, but you make up for it with
boy. Wow. Mm-hmm. Is there a project that needs done or something? I'm missing something. I am. I know I am.
It's like, what's she want?
What am I doing the rest of the day? Because that was very nice of you to say.
Yeah, well, you do have a good Yeah, radio voice.
Okay,
podcaster voice.
Well, thank you for saying so. If you would like to write in and talk about my voice, you can do that. No, write in and talk about the sword and the sorcerer like I do all the time. Talon.
Yeah. Tell us what you liked about. What was your favorite part?
That's right. Write to us, cavebabble@gmail.com. Or you may go to our Facebook group, Cavebabble Podcast. Search for that group, and we will accept you if you ask to be part of the group. I mean, there hasn't been anything in there in months. But there will be now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Yay.
Back in the saddle.
That's right. Back in the saddle we go. So thank you, everyone, for all the downloads and listens. And until next week, we're out of here.
Goodbye.
Yeah, that's right. I said 1 week.
Yeah, see, exactly. So we better. Yeah.
Now it's in stone.
Except next week we have Caius.
Oh, Caius. All right.
Cavebabble.
Blast you, Eric.
I've been practicing my giggling, and I certainly hope he shows up soon.